Welcome back to the basement, the only place where pals and Pokemon are forced to fight each other to knockout so that we can find out just which IP is the more superior one in the long term. Well, Palworld has officially released as of the 30th of July, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't think anybody was quite expecting quite the draw that we're seeing with the card game of today. If you are living under a rock and you have absolutely no idea about Palworld, it is, as some people call it, basically Pokemon but with the Second Amendment. There's obviously a whole lot more that goes on top of that. If you are, like me, a fan of the game, you'll know that Palworld plays a little bit more like Ark or a lot of other different survival crafting games, rather than just you going around and catching a bunch of different monsters that are in the shapes of various other animals or plants or women for that matter. And it is, in my personal opinion, way more original. There's a lot of controversies that surround the game of Palworld, and my job isn't really to discuss them today. However, the one that we are going to discuss is the one that revolves around the card game that just released, and just how insane it is that this game is already on pace to do quite a lot of crazy stuff in the card making scene. Before we go any further, though, please make sure to like the video and hype it if you have the ability to do so. It very much so helps the algorithm, and I deeply appreciate it. Also, if you are buying any of the Palworld TCG, or if you got your hands on it before we're going to talk about the price hikes of today, let me know if you pulled anything interesting. Speaking of pulling cards, by the way, I will link in the description the stream where I open up some of the Palworld game if you are interested to see just my experience with it on its day one release. Alright. Let's get back to the video. I don't think it is any surprise that Palworld has been making waves in the market of video games. Nintendo had already tried to sue them for a couple of different types of copyright infringement. That ultimately failed, and I know that there are plenty of Nintendo fanboys that are reeing and crying, and some even talking about some certain ideations that they might be having because of this game's success. And if you're wondering if I'm kidding, no, I am not kidding. The TCG, however, was one that I myself and quite a lot of other people weren't really quite sure what it was going to do in the long term. There are a lot of card games that come out every single year, and while some of them are scams, other of them are money laundering, it really does take some time to figure out if a certain IP can stand a test of time and see where it goes in the long term. As of the recording of this video, it's only been a few days since the release of Palworld. However, the hype that was generated around the game is kind of surprising, I would say, to some people. The MSRP of the Palworld TCG first box was hovering around $45 to $50 from most people that got it from distributors. And that price stayed mostly consistent from the time that it started the pre-sales up until a couple of days before the boxes were even available for people to buy. I remember myself, when this game was announced to be released in stores, asking a couple of different people if they were planning on buying it, and surprisingly, a lot of people said no. Hold on to that bit, we're going to come back later to that point in particular. Out of the multiple card stores that I found within both my city and the next one over, only 2 of them had said that they were able to buy cards from distributors that would come to their stores. I'm not entirely sure if they just didn't have the opportunity to, or if they didn't see the merit behind getting the Palworld TCG itself. Regardless, it seemed that hype for the game was rather low up until the last couple of days before its release. I do think that is in no small part to the amount of leaks and official showcases for a couple of the different pals themselves. I also think that hype started to generate because, I mean, to be honest with you, Palworld is just kind of a good game. Again, if you are a Nintendo fanboy that will endlessly try and shit on something that is other than the drivel that Pokemon still comes up with every couple of years, you're probably going to look at this and say, there's no way that this is going to do anything or be as successful as the game that I grew up with my childhood. Trust me, I was definitely along the lines of thinking, hopefully, that it would be a little bit smaller than it was. Well, all of my hopes were dashed to shame when I started calling around the card stores that were planning to hold them, and they told me that their prices were slowly increasing. The reasoning for that seems to be multifaceted. However, I am going to break down the current pricing that we are seeing. Many of those prices ranging into the $160 to over $200 just to get yourself a box of Palworld. Again, that's quite crazy considering that up until a couple of weeks ago, the price for one of these boxes was $50. And my plan was to buy 3 to 5 boxes because of how cheap they were. However, seeing how the prices have evolved, it's no small surprise that a lot of people now are becoming quite bullish on whether or not they actually want to buy it, especially considering that a box of Palworld's first set only comes with a specific amount of packs and 7 cards in every single one. For a lot of people, this seems to be scalping. However, I would say that while I do agree that there is probably a little bit of hype coming from individuals who want to make quick flips on boxes that they were able to get at $50, I'm going to offer, my personal opinion, additional reasons why this product is climbing in price, and why I personally think that it might continue to grow in price unless they decide to reprint it into the ground. Let me explain. One of the reasons why I think people are more interested in Palworld as a TCG as compared to a couple others, first, I would say, stems from the fact that the developers, that being Pocket Pair, had decided to purchase a sort of stake in Bushiroad, the publisher and creator of the TCG themselves. That doesn't seem to be something that I see a lot of creators do. Most people, when they're making these trading card games, will just make it, throw it with a distributor that seems to give them the best price, and then releases it into the public. If Palworld is wanting to buy a stake in a major company that produces games, such as Weiss Schwarz, you can imagine that people feel like there is a little bit of staying power with a TCG that is already being followed by an IP that has major plans to grow outside of just one game that has impressions of Ark or other survival crafting games. In addition to this, I feel like one of the bigger reasons that some people might not have noticed upon first looking on a box is something that you can see in the upper right corner. What's funny is it doesn't just appear in the upper right corner of the box itself, but also appears on some of the first packs of this game. I'm expecting this to be changed in the future. Again, there is a chance that they may not change it, and if it does, it will probably quiet down the pricing of this a little bit. But if you look in the upper right corner of the Palworld box, and again, any booster pack that has this in here, it says Palword, not Palworld. That's quite the crazy little thing to leave on a first edition printing box of any brand new TCG. It's something that, by many people's standards, makes it special, as first edition boxes will be a lot easier to spot and counterfeits will be a lot easier to disregard if the Palworld name is up here in the corner. It does give to some individuals, especially people who are looking to get in on the ground level of any trading card game, a reason to find it more collectible. What better way to start off a trading card game than to have one of the first boxes? And how can you prove that you have one of the first edition printings of the box? By showing off the beautiful big error that is right there in the upper right corner. It is with this reason, and in general, I think a lot of people misunderstood the actual hype that was going to come around with a game like the Palworld TCG, that I feel like the prices we're getting today are the way they are. Again, I am not one to doubt that there are some people trying to build and sell off of the hype of the game itself. It is definitely quite amusing to see a box that I bought for $90, a little bit over what the MSRP, is now going for nearly $200. And for some people, thinking that they're brave enough, trying to sell for $300 and maybe even more. Now, it's not just the boxes that you see on eBay that are being driven up to a price of nearly $300. What's funny is you can't even find any Palworld cards yet on TCG Player. Some people wonder if they are afraid of Nintendo because of Nintendo's ire against a IP such as Palworld. However, one of the other things that's definitely worth bringing up is the fact that some people are trying to sell cards speculatively off of the hype of the fact that they are extremely rare. Now, I don't know necessarily what the pull rates are for every single variant and full art card that exists in the Palworld TCG. I do believe that the gold cards are somewhere around 1 in 1,000, and the ultra rare cards that have the full art treatments and the golden text are somewhere around 250 to maybe 300 packs in order to find. When you have a booster box that only gives you 12 packs, that definitely sounds like a very low rarity rate. And so you have people that are selling these cards for exorbitant amounts of money. Is it worth buying this Patelia for right now under the price of nearly $10,000? Most assuredly not, in my personal opinion. You can, if you really, 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 really want to buy this card for such an exorbitant price of money, send it off to a grading company, such as Premier Card Grading, code mommaocco10. But if you want my personal opinion, this really is just the blooming beginning of a brand new TCG. A TCG that, in my personal opinion, could go just about anywhere. It's very clear that it has the chance to stand the test of time, as some people have said, especially with its second set coming out in October, and have the chance to become the next Pokemon, or one of the next TCGs. However, I would caution individuals into thinking that you can make millions or bajillions even dollars off of a brand new TCG. There are plenty of examples in recent history of games that had some kind of hype. Hell, I even know that the Star Wars TCG that's come out recently has had quite a fall off, which is unfortunately due to no small part of the mismanagement of Star Wars by Disney, in my personal opinion. But it just goes to show that even though you have a famous name attached to it, it doesn't really go successful. But will Palworld stick above the rest and rise to the occasion? Well, there's a couple of different things that make a card game something that can be successful. Not only do you need to have a game that is supported by a very fun or cool IP, again, such as Palworld, you also need to have a fun game in there and give people reasons to play, reasons to buy more packs of cards to outfit their collection, and reasons to go in person to play events at local card stores. Now, I'm not quite sure how long or if there are going to be events where people can go in person. I do believe I have seen that the Pocket Pair people have decided to produce prize packs to be distributed to LGSs if they decide to host games. So there will definitely be reasons for people to host tournaments, or Friday Night Magics, I guess you could call it, or I guess maybe you could call it Sunday Night Palworld. I don't know, I guess we'll have to come up with that one. Either way, people are getting reasons to host this as a game in store. Now, again, it is unknown really where this will go. A lot of individuals in the trading card market discarded this game as something that will probably have a couple of expansions and then die off. Me, I don't necessarily think so. The thing that people need to remember with Palworld, even if it might not be as popular as your Pokemon game, or it may not be as perceived as popular, the thing to remember is Palworld has sold over 30 million copies. If I remember correctly, that is just PC sales. I'm not quite sure if it's all over, but it has sold a massive amount of copies. In addition to that, Palworld is a game that has a decently high concurrent player rate on Steam, as shown right here, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. People love this game. People love the IP. And people really do appreciate when somebody can come up with something that is semi-original and make it their own. In addition to that, and again, I do think this might be controversial to some individuals, but I think people are just looking for something different. In a world where Pokemon seems to be having a bit of an enshittification, at the very least with the video game sphere, I think some people were looking for a brand new game that gave them the same nostalgic feeling of going out, catching monsters, and maybe having a bit of RPG elements in it. And while I think that the main Palworld game doesn't have all of the necessary elements to make up a quote-unquote Pokemon game, it stands on its own, in my personal opinion, as a fun game. Now, do I believe that Pocket Pair has the opportunity to come and disrupt the market? Yes. Yes, I do. Is that what they want? I don't think so. I think that Pocket Pair, they just wanted to make a game that was inspired by different things that they loved. And because of that, we have Palworld for today. It's not going to be the only thing they put out. I'm very excited for the comfy Animal Crossing-esque games that are littered by so many different other indie companies. And I'm also interested to see the dating sim that they have coming up. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. Overall, should you invest in Palworld as a trading card game? Well, my personal opinion, as somebody that does do their own investing, first off, this isn't financial advice. But secondly, I only believe that you should invest in things that you yourself will enjoy. When it comes to the trading card realm, I've really only invested in things that I actually enjoy and feel like I can have appreciation from if for whatever reason they end up not having any value. I invest in Magic because I love Magic, and if all of my sets go down to zero for whatever reason and have no way of returning, I know for a fact I can open up the cards, maybe sell the ones that might have some value to them, or enjoy them. These games are meant to be enjoyed at the end of the day, and your enjoyment with them is what you make of them. Whether you buy Palworld boxes and you want to hold on to the first edition of the first set because it has an error on it and you think it could go to the moon one day, or you're buying it because you want to open it, because you really want some of those pals and the potential full arts that you could get from it. No matter what, I think that you should enjoy what you buy. Don't get something just because you think that you can make a quick buck off of it. Yes, right now, if you were lucky enough to buy the Palworld game at $50, you've definitely 4x'd your money if you are somehow able to sell it on eBay for that much. And while I think it is incredibly dumb that people are buying it at that price, people are buying it at that price. And I don't necessarily fault people for deciding to sell it for that, even if I think that that is scalper behavior. Regardless, my opinion stays the same. If you enjoy Palworld as a game, or you want to get into Palworld because you think it looks good, buy it. And if you enjoy the product, invest in its future because you want it to. But that's pretty much it for me. I will be trying to get some of the second set as it comes out in October. I'll probably try and get in on as many early sales as possible before they raise the prices from $45 to over $100 because of speculation and hype. But I'm not planning on selling anything, at least right now. I want this product to cook a little bit before I make any decisions. And I think that anybody that wants to buy and invest in this should do the same. This game is to be enjoyed, after all. But that's pretty much it for me. Again, if you liked today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have the opportunity to, make sure to hit the hype down in the description. In addition to that, if you do decide to buy any Palworld cards and you get something useful, there is a link in the description for Premier Card Grading, and you can use the code mommaocco10 to get a little bit off of your order. I like Premier Card Grading because they're not PSA. Unlike PSA, who might surcharge you if you get a card that is actually worth a lot of money, Premier Card Grading will just do what they say they'll do. You pay them $20, and they'll grade your card for you, and then in about 30 to 45 days, you'll get it back. Simple, cheap, and easy, like it was supposed to be. Anyway, if you want to, go ahead and click that link and tell me when you get something graded. I'm definitely interested to see what you get. But as for me, that's pretty much it. Have a good one.